Oh god, it's before my ship even arrived.
Yeah, the autosave system is not as frequent as one would think. Also, hello again, it's me,
Hello.
Mir.
Yeah. Okay, so we are a little ways back. Yeah, game just shut down, did one of those surviving Mars, stopped working. Would you like to search online for a solution to this problem? Right, where is everybody? Mia's minions are there.
Potato believes that I fixed my audio drivers and that's what's allowing the people to hear me again.
No, I asked Mia to jump back in and just like switch over the setup so that
We have a out of order screen to fall back to in case this happens again.
yeah.
So Potato has a moral conundrum he would like chat and probably also you to solve. After he's done streaming Final Fantasy XV, he's unsure if he should move on to Nier Automata or The Last of Us. Now, if I were to throw my two Fennec in there, because, you know, I like those more, I would not go with Nier Automata because that's absolute nonsense. Now, if you were somebody who'd like to spite me, you would go with this weird Nier Automata game. I was going with that thought somewhere, but I guess, you know, I stopped thinking about it now. Point in case being, in one game you wandered through a lot of nothing and nothing happens, and the other one is more like Uncharted, where a story happens while you climb around things and shoot other things. And personally, I believe the Uncharted formula lends itself better to streaming for a streamer who is a little bit quieter than usual. Which is what Potato is like. Not as a form of criticism, just pointing it out as is a fact. Somebody should say something before I talk myself into a fat napkin.
Yeah, it's true. If not knowing either of these two games, but if you are a streamer or a let's player who doesn't like to talk too much, then you need to make sure that the games you are playing have a lot of commentary in them.
Say hello to Lol Aspens, who says, "Oh,
Hello, lol Aspens.
that's a weird thing to laugh at, but I guess..."
Welcome to the stream. Right, I'm going to try and delete this bit that crashed the game a moment ago.
We had a bit that
Yay.
crashed the game?
Well,
I mean, I
maybe
remember the crash, but...
it might have been that.
Sal,
What?
I see this for the first time. Now, what's this nonsense with all those dirt piles around your base? Go make
What?
a stockpile?
No,
Why not?
because it just makes busy work for the drones, and they're busy enough.
I mean, yeah, but they're running out of space.
They'll move it when they run out of space.
No, they won't.
I want to get rid of just that bit there. Because I do have advanced knowledge that this here concrete extractor is about to run out. Hey, can you set off yet? Are you full? Yes. Off you go. Be on your way. Yeah, so we had a few things happen at once when the game just crashed. There was a meteor landed over there just as I tried to delete that little nub of wire. And it might have been trying to do an autosave all at the same time, who knows. Right, meanwhile, how are we doing on all the things? Food is low. Are we due to get a crop in? Yes.
You know, I've been playing this game extensively over the past few
He has.
weeks and so forth. Well, not weeks, maybe 1 week at this point. And I have to admit that at one point I permanently switched over to the faster settings, so seeing Sal's game at the moment feels like everything moves through molasses.
Yeah, but when you've just had a game crash, you think
might not
you've done
want to
something,
overstress it.
and you're not sure. So I'm just keeping a close eye on stuff at the moment.
Yeah, also I reached a point where my settlement was running fairly stably, while Sal, on the other hand, is still stuck in a stage where everything is really difficult and she might want to make sure that nothing bad happens.
Yeah. And the difficulty level's higher.
Well, there's no need to brag about that.
It could be it could be considered bragging, or it could just be that I'm foolish. Alright, if you are not doing anything, come and collect that thing. I guess it's a bit of meteorite. Then unload it over here. Okay, need to check what resources these guys have got up here. They are low on metals, so I need to bring them some metals up. Alright, I think I'm comfortable to knock it up. I found that the middle speed feels the most comfortable for me.
Sybil also, is speaking about playing games at different speeds, is used to watching the YouTubers Enter Elysium and Aspec.
Oh, I watch Enter Elysium at times.
There you go. Play Stellaris. So when Anubis recently started playing that game, it felt painfully slow to him due to the speed Anubis plays at.
Oh, here's our people.
Well, I'm not entirely sure of Anubis's prior knowledge of the game, so if he goes in there blind, he might be better off starting slow. Maybe he'll get quicker, but knowing him and his affinity for jumping puzzles and first-person shooters, he probably won't. Are you landing your rocket on those piles of rocks?
Might be.
So it's a rock rocket.
The rocks are just like in a decorative outline. I'm not actually landing them right on top of the waste rock.
New colonists have arrived.
Yay!
Well, personally, I have a few minor gripes with the game. I, for instance, feel that there is a horrible lack of infrastructure buildings that I'd like to plop down. Like, I'd feel it would be nice if I had the option to build a proper landing pad for a rocket, or if I could, build a drone depot next to my drone command hub so I can line them all up in nice orderly lines, or just build some streets between domes which would increase movement speed of colonists or drones in between them. I don't know, I just want to make my colony look more interconnected and modern, instead of being small islands disconnected from one another, while disregarding those tubes that you put down everywhere. Potato admits that he isn't the most fond of Anubis' stream style. What's wrong with it? I mean, I admit, for my personal taste, Anubis has too large of an audience, which I won't hold against him. Bless him for having it. It's just I feel like it's hard to get a word in there, which is alright. I mean, you got to expect that at his size, but other than that, his stream style seems fine and well to me. What's wrong in your opinion, if I may ask? You don't have to answer. I mean, we're not here to talk slack of Anubis.
Personal taste and wrong.
I mean, yeah, okay, I didn't mean to imply Potato believes it's entirely wrong. Bell also points out that Anubis still hasn't upped his speed on Stellaris at all. He rarely goes above fast, where the other two YouTubers, Bell also mentioned, rarely ever go below the fastest option. Well, he's just careful and planning ahead. Is he still playing with nether curtains?
Cable fault reported.
That's a
Sector
weird question
scanned.
for anybody who isn't familiar with his weird background lore. Can I call it Anubis background lore if I'm just referencing odd jokes he made in the past? That's lore,
Probably
right?
not. I think more in-jokes would probably be more appropriate.
Yeah, well, I don't want to call it an in-joke. Lore sounds more important. You're respecting somebody who has vast knowledges of the lore of the land, rather than somebody who memorized 2 insider jokes. Potato believes it feels bland in his personal opinion. Like, don't get him wrong, he's a cool dude, but, like, yeah. That's a direct quote from Potato. It's not the most helpful one, but I think I know where you're coming from. You just have different tastes when it comes to YouTuber styles. Sal is aiming at a completely different audience in comparison to what Anubis is going for.
So, because Anubis started recording and streaming with his son.
There you go.
So-
Look at that. Bell also agrees I can call it Anubis lore.
You can call it Anubis lore if that's what you want to.
That sounds condescending now, as if you're trying to belittle a child. Thank you, you ruined it for me.
I'm telling myself off for my own skepticism. I'm thinking, if Mia wants to call it a lore, the lore.
The lore of
Research
the land.
complete.
There's a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Belos is also with me on the issue of Anubis' streams. It's nice that he has such a large fan base, and even still at this point in time, it's still relatively easy to get noticed by him, especially if he already has contact with you in the past. Has had contact with you in the past.
I like that thing that Potatoes just posted. I used to try and tape my favourite songs from the radio. My 7-year-old is upstairs in the shower yelling at his AI because she keeps playing the wrong version of his favourite song.
Why
Yeah,
do you
it's like,
need to
how
listen
times
to
change.
music while you're in the shower?
Have you never listened to music in the shower?
No, I'm a decent human being who
Oh, you
only
don't know
showers
what you're
in full
missing out.
apparel and clothing. There's no need to involve music in that. Dancing to music is inappropriate and encourages people to lead wild and unsuspecting lives.
And there's a little insight into Mia's psyche.
Not really a welcome one, to be honest. But also used to record songs from MTV onto cassette tapes as well. That's weird. I used to do that too. I had my own personal mixtape, videotape of my favorite music videos. And the worst part was there was that weird one song where a weird clay animated robot was doing some skateboarding. And it was really fascinating, and I can't find that stupid video anymore ever since I lost that cassette tape due to somebody recording it because I hadn't used it in a few years.
Amir has just fired a hair tie right across the desk.
I can't help it if you leave them everywhere. Also, I have to express my frustration somehow.
He was fiddling with it and then, in his frustration, just managed to catapult it. Okay, so time to think about expansion. Let's just scroll out while we have a look. So,
Funding received.
I think what would be good would be another engineering dome. But where? I'm guessing down here. I mean, we could take advantage of the stuff up here, but that permafrost is going to be a problem.
Well, also was talking about audio cassettes, not VHS ones. His home stereo system used to be plugged into the TV back when they still had both of those, so he could record directly to cassette. Yeah, I know, I used to have cassettes too, but I didn't record the MTV stuff onto those. I usually just ripped that from other cassettes I borrowed from friends.
I've got, I think the last time I made mixtapes was...
Ignore that, I accidentally clicked a button. I should stop putting that on a hotkey. I was updating a thing.
Yeah, probably the early 2000s, I think. And then at some point I switched over to making playlists on my iPhone.
Oh, I still hate the iPhone's music interface. I'm the most bothered by the fact that I can't just drag music onto the phone.
I kind of miss the big booming sounds of a
Pipe
decent
leak
hi-fi
reported.
system.
Yeah, but you can't really have that these days with neighbours everywhere.
I had neighbours back then.
Yeah, but they had it too, and so they weren't bothered by it. But these days, neighbours are just inconsiderate because they don't go through the same thing.
Has that? I missed it. Did that get
Cable
back?
fault reported.
Did that rocket get back to Earth? Yes, and we got the cash. Okay, so I was going to look, wasn't I? How much would it cost to buy the electronics to make a Stirling generator versus buying a Stirling generator? How much does it...
Meh, update
Ah, I
the
was gonna say.
thumbnail.
Does it tell us on the research screen? It probably does. 12 polymers, not a problem. 6 electronics. Okay. So if we were buying 6 electronics would be 120 million?
Yeah, but you can't just send one rocket.
400 million. So it's definitely better to buy the electronics than it is to...
Yeah, but the question is, can you already build them on your own? Sorry, I haven't been paying too much attention.
Oh, the research is about to complete.
Oh, lovely.
I'm gonna take that extra bit of food. Yeah, so there's enough electronics for 2 Stirling generators there.
So, when Barroso first got his PC in 2001, he had Music Match Jukebox to order all of his music, though nowadays he just has all his files in their proper subfolders, sorted by decade, artist and album, and he plays each file individually with Media Player Classic.
Sector scanned.
Personally, I'm a big fan of the VLC Media Player, but, you know, to each their own. And Potato believes that converting this flat soda into a popsicle was a good idea. May I disagree?
I like putting milk on top of frozen fruit. Just getting fruit straight out the freezer and then pour it into a glass, pour milk on it, and then smush it up a little bit with a spoon so it turns into a sort of ice cream. All for being experimental with your food. Okay, we're looking a bit healthier there on the supply of people. So, yeah, would have liked to have got a bit more sciencing going on.
Did you order your crop rotation in all your farms?
Yeah.
Ah, good. Wasn't sure. But also uses the VLC media player but only for actual videos. He's too attached to the NPC to play audio files with anything else. But also, no, hold on. Potato's wondering, can't you just use one of those magic bullet blenders and have it super blended into a milkshake?
There's something really nice though about having
Cable fault reported.
chunky bits of fruit in milk slush that sort of solidified into a ice cream type texture.
Ugh. She's probably also one of those people who really enjoy fruit chunks in their marmalade.
Marmalade's a bit bitter for me.
Sorry, in their jam.
I like fruit chunks in jam, yeah.
Ugh. Weirdo.
But then I like fruit on meat. Some people think that's heresy. Which I think is analogous to the Hawaiian pizza thing. Oh, Big Bang. Okay, what did you deliver me? Was it just a lump of rock?
Just a lump of rock.
It was just a lump of rock.
Actually, living in an area with lots of meteor storms seems to be advantageous for people who want to do a lot of research, because from what I can tell, meteor storms usually bring a lot of research material down with them.
Oh, okay. I thought they were maybe uncovering it.
Or that. I'm not sure.
Oh, my thing in the middle of the dome. No.
Are you that short on water? Personally, I never thought it was worth the investment.
Yeah. Well, I've got this water here, which is a very low grade one. And then there's these two up here. But there's no sign of deep water extraction turning up in my research. So it was water that destroyed us last time.
Okay, yeah, a water reclamation plant might be a good choice then.
In the farming zone. Okay, right, there's that finished.
Would it be inappropriate of me to start talking about my playthrough of Surviving Mars?
Sure.
So, I had something rather weird happen to me when I was playing. I had a nice little dome community up in one part of the map and decided it's time to branch out. Because I was already running low on housing and I had a few homeless people. And I was running out of resources, so I built a new dome somewhere closer to a nice little collection of more resource sites. And as soon as the dome was finished and a new building was opened up, all the homeless people, for some odd reason, suddenly decided they don't need to wait for a shuttle. They can just all run down there across the entire map. They all suffocated out in space. It was rather bizarre.
Mia had things to say about that. I think, didn't you write a letter to the developer?
I was intending to, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. Then again,
Pipe leak reported.
it at least solved my residential problem. For a while.
I'm gutted I put these two things too close to each other. That was just careless.
Please refrain from making these jokes. Sal doesn't know about them yet.
Resources are low.
Oh, electronics. I'm shipping electronics in, aren't I? That's right.
Dust storm approaching.
What? We didn't get that last time?
Oh, well.
Will the ship be here in time? Should be, yeah. Hopefully 16 hours.
I believe the problem with that was I built a couple of tunnels that connected my, let's call them North Domes with the new South Dome, because they were literally on opposite sides of the map, which made it a lot easier to route the previous life support systems that existed up in the north down with the south one. While also telling your colony that it'll probably die soon, and it should rest in pieces. You can't see the rest of chat because Potato posted a spoiler.
Oh, I see.
Yes, quite inconsiderate of him. Anyway, Belorsa's just saying, rest in peace, Sal's colony.
Research complete.
Going back to
Sector
that.
scanned. Anomaly found.
Nice. I built several of these tunnels to route down a few of the life support systems I had up in the north, because otherwise, the lovely thing about the tunnel is you only need to have a drone hub at the end of the tunnel, rather than with a pipeline that leads down there, in which I need to have drones all along the way to repair any fault that might happen with it. But the problem was that people from the North Domes apparently saw these tunnels as a way to get down there quite easily, which would make sense. The only problem was that their pathing AI completely ignored the tunnels when they weren't in their direct path down there. So instead of going through the tunnel, increasing the speed of their journey and not dying of suffocation, which is what I believe made them think they could just run down there instead of waiting for a shuttle. They ran in a straight line to the dome, and virtually all of them died. But I mentioned that before.
Oh yeah, farm automation. Whoa! That came in at quite a low angle. Okay, so the dust storm shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Bell also believes that the tunnels do seem a bit cheaty in terms of plumbing and wiring costs. Well, you have to invest a good amount of concrete into them, which in my personal opinion makes up for it.
And
it
machine parts.
And machine parts. And it just makes life so much easier in that regard if you want to connect faraway domes with one another. It's not just there for, alleviating transport needs. But I do believe they should eventually introduce maintenance to those tunnels, because you're right, the fact that they can then remain as is indefinitely, especially if they're pumping all your air and water through them, seems a bit weird.
Just realised that the music had gone back to where it was before the crash.
Oh, don't worry. We manage music and sound through my computer now, so it probably wasn't necessary.
I've just turned it down. You might want to turn it back up. Okay, so now we should have more electronics. I'm going to build a couple of Stirling generators.
Bell also believes that the cheaty bit about the tunnels is actually that it looks like you're just paying for the tunnel ends themselves. The stretchy bit in between that you can't see seems to be completely ignored when calculating the cost of a tunnel. That is true, it does seem a bit weird that you don't have to pay for anything. That you pay the same amount no matter how long your tunnel is going to be. Oh well, I'd still rather have the ability to build drone hubs, drone parking garages and streets, rather than tunnel
Cable fault
improvements.
reported.
But oh well.
Now, if I build a tunnel, it will use the majority of the metals that we have. But it will give us access to far more metals.
As long as you can build a dome at the other point.
Oh. Oh no, it's just the metals on the floor.
Oh, just the metals on the floor. Never mind me.
It will also tell us whether or not, or just, is there a path around here? Okay, so that might actually...
May I recommend that you build the starting point by your dome? It seems to help with the pathing of your drones and colonists if they ever have to go down there. I know it's a weird thing, but I noticed it when I was playing.
At the moment I'm just using the tunnel to determine whether or not whether the land can be traversed, because it's very rough looking.
I think you're better off using a sensor tower to determine if there's a path, because the tunnel is quite large.
Yeah. But if I can find a path through with the tunnel, then there's definitely nothing to worry about.
So Bill also believes the easiest way how he can see to fix this problem would be to let you build the 2 or more tunnel ends and then have to select which ends you want to connect and then let that determine the cost between them, which will be dependent on distance and elevation change.
Yeah, it looks like this area here is isolated from this area here. And this area here is also isolated. It might be that the mule can get up and down these areas, even though we can't build on them.
Let's hope it does. But also wants to know, how were you able to build the second tunnel entrance in the first place? If you build one tunnel entrance, the second one automatically builds along with it.
So we've got metals here and here and here, just loose on the ground metals.
Forgive me for asking, but what's all the orange stuff in there?
All this orangey stuff.
Yeah.
It's the dust storm.
It's localized entirely within that canyon?
No, it's just that because there's a dust storm, it's really dusty down there.
Ah.
When we have a cold spell, it's sort of icy. You get a sort of ice haze, a foggy sort of thing going on in there.
I admit I haven't really played with dust storms so far. I lived in an area that was primarily dominated by meteor attacks and ice spells, frost spells. You know what I mean.
But I guess we'll go for it anyway.
Bell also believes, realistically speaking, she shouldn't have been able to place the second in because it was out of reach of the drones. Again, build the entrance by your colony.
Will do.
You didn't.
Gonna.
That's the exit.
It's a tunnel. All exits and entrances are the same
Never
thing.
mind. I just assumed that they fixed it.
What?
When I was building tunnel entrances, my drones got confused and went to the thing I placed first.
They can't.
I fear that then they might not actually work on the tunnel, which is why I brought it up. But those are just weird paranoid fears, so don't worry about me here.
Did it this way round last time?
Alright.
It's in there. I'll put it there. But I don't imagine us going and living down here anyway. It's just about going down and collecting these little bits of loose metals and stuff.
Of course.
Okay, so building's not working. We've got 2 vaporators and 2 moxies.
Resources are low.
Surprised it's not including the farm in that. Yep, metals are about to get a lot lower before we get it higher.
Belos is asking for a break. Feel free to go. You can always...
Oh, why is it 2 hours? Is it 10 o'clock?
Technically speaking, not anymore.
It's gone 10 o'clock.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah, okay then. Let's take a break. And maybe should we stream? I don't know. Does anyone up for a bit of overtime streaming? Do I carry on? Do I?
I was going to
Give
say
it a rest
you
for tonight?
carry on. I don't know. Potato
Yes.
says yes. We don't know what he said yes to, but he agrees.
But he agrees.
Well, good thing you now am the proud owner of about 500 rubber ducks and a new washing machine. Of course, you'll have to pay for those.
And yes, says Bell also.
It's very helpful, thank you.
Okay, right. Well, we'll take a pause here.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm supposed to click the pause button. Do we pause or do we stop the stream and then restart it later?
I'm going to save it just in case, because often if I just pause the game and leave it, then my computer will have a crash before I get started again. But we'll give it a go and see. Yep, okay. We'll be back in about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. Cool. Bye for now.
Cheerio.